Hi you guys, this is Brandy. I'm a furniture painter out of Sacramento, California, and I'm with Brush by Brandy. And I was just on painting with Diane Castellano of Vintage Finders Warehouse. We had some sound issues and she handled it like a champ. And she really showed her color wash great despite the issues. So I'm going to come back on and keep working on my vintage vanity here with you guys and show you guys what I'm working on. So come on and let me know that you're on. Our question for tonight was tell me who your local Dixie Belle retailer is. You can go to the Dixie Belle Paint website, click find a retailer, and then input your local zip code and it will tell you where your closest Dixie Belle retailer is. So I already did this side over here. My piece, I have a base of, well, I started out with a base of Dixie Belle Boss in white, knowing that I was going to come back and put this drop cloth over it. So I've got a coat of drop cloth here. And then what I have in my hands is a huge block of beeswax. Hi, Katarina. Thanks for coming back, guys. I know, I'm back. Thought I'd come back on the page because we had so many people watching wanting to see some painting. So I have a block of beeswax. You can get a block of beeswax at your local craft store in the candle making section. This comes in a block. It's a few dollars. And I'm going to take this and rub my piece. So I've got a lot of details on here. You can see. I'm going to rub my piece down with the beeswax. And what this is going to do, it's going to seal my paint. So I'm going to layer colors on here. I'm going to do some palmetto. I'm going to do some mermaid tail, some caviar. I'm going to layer colors. And then I'm going to wet distress. And all those layers are going to peel back. And you're going to see each layer showing through. But this is going to protect my white from coming off and going down to the wood on the high points. I want those to stay white. So this is a way of protecting my paint through the distressing process. That's all I'm using this for. I'm just hitting the high points on my piece with it. So I'm going to do that. Let me open this other drawer. Hi guys, thanks for coming back. Hi Michelle. Oh, Grace on Broadway. Yes, I got to paint with her. She's awesome. That's Heather from Grace on Broadway. She's another Dixie Belle retailer. Guys, it's always good to know your local Dixie Belle retailer. In fact, I know my local retailer, who's Brooke Sobel from Heartland Vintage Market. I just see you pop up. That is my local Dixie Belle retailer. I'm so glad to know her. She runs an awesome little shop. She's been such an asset for me. So totally recommend knowing who your retailers are. So I've rubbed this piece down pretty good. My first layer, like I said, I'm going to layer this. So don't look at the green because it's not going to stay a solid green. I'm going to keep coming back with colors. But my first layer is Dixie Belle Palmetto over the drop cloth. I know, we're going to be neighbors soon. Actually, Brooke, I'm meeting with my realtor tonight to get our house listed. So you guys, if you follow my page at Brush by Brandy, we're building a house right now, and I'm going to be like 5 minutes away from my local Dixie Belle retailer, Brooke. But we've been getting ready to list our house that we live in now. So we're meeting with our I keep wanting to say retailer, with our realtor this evening. After I get off here, he should be here. And hopefully get our house listed in the next 2 weeks or so. We've been working really hard on that. We're building a house. I share that story on my page as well. It's been kind of a journey. Kind of a once-in-a-lifetime journey, but it was our dream. So this is Dixie Belle Palmetto. I'm applying it with my Dixie Belle brush here. And I'm just digging it into the crevices. Again, it's not going to stay green. This coat doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to keep layering color on color on color, and then I'm going to come back with a wet scrubby cloth, and I'm going to scrub the layers back. And I want to see each one. So each color is going to have its own presence, but and my final color will be a green, a very deep, rich green. Where do I find most of my pieces? I constantly am looking, and I look on Facebook Marketplace, I look on Craigslist, I look, pretty much the same places everyone does. And what I do is I keep a little bit of a stockpile because there can be lulls in the market sometimes. So I keep a little bit of the stockpile on hand. so that I can afford to pass up things that aren't that great and pick up the things that I really want. I've also found it's worth my while to pay a little bit more and pass up, you know, the freebies on the side of the road if they mean heavy, heavy, heavy repairs. I prefer to get the pieces that are in a little bit better condition. This is Dixie Belle Palmetto. It's a my lighting's a little bit off. I think it's looking a little teal on camera, and it's not. It's more of an emerald green. A girl and her paintbrush. Yes, in Texas. Yes. She's awesome. You guys are talking about all my favorite peeps on here. I love, 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 love some of the people I've met through the Dixie Belle team. We have such a great team. So again, you can see this coat is not perfect. It's going over white. It would take me 2 coats probably to cover this white. I don't care because this is not my final layer here. So I'm going to push this drawer in. I'm going to pull out my next one. I'm going to do my whole piece in this palmetto. This piece is really going to come alive in the distressing process. Palmetto was my first color I ever ordered from Dixie Belle. You know, you got to start somewhere, pick a color and try it. And my first color I ordered was palmetto. And I loved it online and I love it in person. It is a super rich green. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to keep coming back with these layers and going over it. I just want to make sure that I have my beeswax on before I start painting. Because I really want to keep this white true. I'm going to push this in. I don't want to get my drawer sides. I actually think I'm going to use a stamp on the drawer sides. Yeah, two people choose palmetto. It's a gorgeous green. I'm going to use some black wax to deepen it. When I'm done, it's going to be, my customer described it as she wants it to look like, you know, walking through a fresh rainstorm, like just that really rich, deep green. So with some black wax over this.
So when they will come out here, he's like hitting everyone in the house.
Yeah, don't, just not screaming. Got a little something stuck in my paint. Hey, Nicole. Yeah, I've used a whole bunch of paints, and once I tried Dixie Belle, it was an easy choice for me. I just genuinely love the paint. And it's taken me a while to come back and play with everything in the line because it's a really big line, but the paint is an easy choice for me. Easy. I love the coverage. It gives a really smooth finish. It's got a really reasonable price point in comparison to a lot of the major brands out there. So Dixie Belle was an easy choice for me too. I don't want to go too far over there around that corner because I know I don't have my beeswax on that part yet.
Mama, please.
You want to come out here with me?
No.
Come here.
No.
Once I get this side, I'll come back to my other side, which should be fairly dry, and I'll start putting my next color on. It's going to be hard to show what this final look will be because you really won't see it until I start peeling the colors back. But again, imagine once I scrub this down, and you're just going to see all these layers coming through. So I'm really going to layer the paint colors, and that's going to help me bring out these details. But they're going to disappear in my process. I'm going to lose the details, and it's going to look like I just did a plain solid coat until the distressing part. And then you'll see the white on those high points and the layers of color coming through. I think it's going to be really pretty. I mean, I don't super know what I'm doing here. It's kind of an experiment sometimes. But the beeswax will protect my white. This is just a Dixie Belle brush, just their natural bristle brush. This is the smaller one. So I'm just digging it into my crevices. My first coat here is just a Dixie Belle Palmetto. I think I'm going to layer in some I'll do the green. I'm going to do Mermaid Tail. I don't even care if these coats are perfect because the more texture is going to add places where my colors will show through a little bit better. All right. Like I said, I don't want to get too much over there because I know I don't have my beeswax on that part yet. I do have it on the center, so I can go across the center. And each coat is going to get a little bit richer in color. So don't look at this and think it's going to be my final look, because it's not. So I've got some other colors out that might go in. Some Midnight Sky, some chocolate, and I'm actually thinking that I might grab some, play with some orange in here too. Either flamingo, just little bits of it. Don't get scared. Or Florida orange. I don't know, little bits. I don't want to freak you out. I'm thinking Florida orange. Just little bits of it in here. I just want to really be able to see the layers of the color. So I'm going to come back over to this side because it's fairly dry. And I'm going to put on my next layer, which is going to be Mermaid Tail. Hey guys, hey Terry. So this is Dixie Belle Mermaid Tail. So my first color was Palmetto. Now it's going to be Mermaid Tail. They look similar on camera, but this is much more teal. It's got more blue undertones. What else can you use? You can use Vaseline is another option to the beeswax, and something most people have readily available in their house. It will keep the paint from adhering where you don't want it to adhere. Okay, so I've got my Palmetto on here. Again, this is not my final look, you guys. I'm going to peel these layers back. You're going to see each one. I mean, you can kind of see, let's say if I just dry brush this on a little bit onto these high points, you can see, you know, how it might look when the layers of color are in there and I start peeling it back. I mean, just the combination is going to be really rich. So with these, some black, some brown, and then maybe even some orange in there. I'm spraying my surface just because I want my paint to slide on. This doesn't have to be perfect. It's not my final look. This is just getting some layers of paint onto my piece. I don't really need to cover in all these crevices. I'll get them, you know, as good as I can. But I want that variation, that texture, that variation in the color. You know, I think a lot of people would see this and feel like, oh, I totally ruined my piece. What am I going to do? This doesn't look good. I'm going to wet distress this with probably a scrubby, like an SOS pad. It's just water and spring, just water. I have 2 spray bottles just of water. So I'm going to come back and wet distress all these colors back, and I'll have the teal poking through, and I'll have the palmetto poking through, and some black, and then some black waxes. It's going to be so rich. Stay with me here, because so far it doesn't look good. I always tell my customers it gets worse before it gets better. This is the worst. It's just not, it's not there yet. Once I layer these colors, I'm going to do a really thin layer of palmetto over the top. So palmetto will be my final color because I want that to be the main shade. I think I'm going to do black over the Mermaid Tail, and then I'll do the wash of palmetto over that. So I want to slip some orange in there too. My customer found an inspiration piece that she really liked off of Pinterest. I just have my customers send me photos. As many photos as they can is always helpful. Shows me what their taste is, you know, what things appeal to them. Even if it's not the right color, you know, oh, I like this distressing style, or, you know, tell me what you like about it. I would not normally leave my doors in while I'm painting, but it's easier to show it on camera with them in. I put some beeswax on my piece to protect the white. Thank you for believing in me, Julie. I promise you it's going to look good. I'm going to do the same thing to the top. The entire piece is going to be the same finish. Top, the matching mirror will be too. I'm just showing you these on camera. I won't try to get up here and paint on the top because you can't really see it. So yeah, stick with me. And then when I scrub all this back, you'll see the white pop through and the palmetto. And I mean, it's going to be super rich. It's going to be beautiful. But I know right now you're like, what are you? It's pretty already. You could leave it in Mermaid Tail and it would be beautiful. Come down here to the legs. You guys can't see them, but I'm doing the legs. See these legs down here? I'm just going to do the same finish all over. So now my paint's kind of wet. I can't really layer any more yet. I don't want to bore you guys just putting this. I'm going to put the palmetto over the entire piece. Flat sections like this under here, I'm just going to do, I didn't put much beeswax, just along the edges. I'm just going to do a flat layer of paint. I'm not too worried about coverage right now or anything because as I layer these colors, they're going to keep covering. Yeah, the mermaid tail's really pretty on this. I can see this mermaid tail with like some black wax being really pretty. But that's not the look we're going for. What do I have in my spray bottles? Just water. Always just water. I'm just keeping my paint so it glides a little bit smoother. You know, I have a base coat on here of drop cloth, and it gets a little gritty, I guess, and your second coat doesn't always glide as easily, so I'm using the water to just lubricate my surface a little bit. I said earlier, but this coat, like the more texture that I add in it, brush strokes and things like that, then when I come back in distress, that's going to be texture that my color can show through on. So you'll notice, if I bring you guys in close, my coat, I don't know if you can see it, it's not perfect. It's got some thick spots, some thinner spots, some places where the palmetto is showing through. But those are all places that are going to have a different color on them when I distress. So that's why I'm not worried about those. You know, a lot of times you're going for a perfect coat and places like that would make you freak out. It's okay for this look. So I got up here. I'm just using the beeswax to preserve the white along the high points because when I distress, I'm going to distress through so many layers, it will want to go down to the wood, and I don't want to go down to the wood. Yes, you can absolutely dilute the paint if you need to. Big Spell's water-based paint, so the water, it's very friendly to water. Absolutely. Do I know when the navy will be available? So I'm hearing first week in July. That's what I'm hearing. Don't quote me on it. It should be at our retailers sooner than that. So if you know where your local retailer is, they will have it in their hot little hands first, and then it will go out onto the website once they all have theirs in stock. How much time do I allow to dry? I would probably, if I wasn't on camera right now, I would be doing a layer each day. I let my paint dry overnight. Does the beeswax leave a film behind? Yes, it will. Yes, I'm going to use wax on this piece, so it won't matter. But yes, it could interfere if you're using a water-based top coat. It could. Hi, Gloria. So I'm just giving my whole piece just a coat of this palmetto. And, you know, like I said, it's not perfect. I'm going to continue to layer the colors. And then I'm going to peel them back like an onion so each one peeks through. I put the beeswax, I'm only using the beeswax over the white. And I'm just using it because I want to protect the high points So when I distress, those stay white. You could also just clear coat your white paint. You could put just your clear coat over the white and then paint over that. Would be another option if you want to stay in the clear coat family. You could also use nothing, and you could let it go through to the wood in some spots and just have less of the white showing. I just wanted those like heavier chunks of the white. Hi Sonia, hi Wendy. If you clear coated it before you put another layer on, it's just going to preserve whatever you have underneath it when you come back to distress. So yes, you could do that. You know, I've also seen where you can just paint on your layers of color in certain spots. I don't know where I'm going to distress it. I really just want the high points to be my different colors. So that's why I'm doing my whole piece. This is Palmetto, and this is Mermaid Tail. So I'm doing a base of Palmetto, and then Mermaid Tail over that. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to put Caviar over that, and then some more Palmetto. Trust me, guys. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. It's going to be really pretty. It's going to be rich. So my palmetto's, or my palmetto's fairly dry to the touch, so I'm just coming back over it with the Mermaid Tail. Again, not perfect. It's okay if there's spots of the palmetto showing through. This is not my final coat. Normally I try to have like one-sided each step and go through the whole process, but this was kind of impromptu. Yeah, that was a frustrating video. I know. Diane was a champ, and she did the best she could, but we kind of had some sound issues going on. So I just want to make sure I get all these spots before I coat them. You know, normally when I'm doing a base coat, I would be laying it on super smooth and watching my brush strokes, and this one I'm not, and it feels weird. What color will be the final coat? Final coat is Palmetto, because I do want it to be that, the final color is going to be that deep, rich green with just undertones of the Mermaid Tail, of the black, of the orange, just little undertones of those showing through. So Palmetto is my actual color that I'm going for. I'm going to pull my drawers out. I don't want to paint my door shut. They'll start sticking. And I actually want to get my door boxes too. That's a glide I need to fix. I thought I had fixed it, and then my drawer wouldn't go in today, so I'll fix it again. You know, I wish I could show you guys the inspiration photo, but it's just a super deep green, and I think the black with the hints of Mermaid Tail popping through, you know, almost like a rainforest. You feel I don't know how to explain it. But then still the clean, crisp white. Yes, you can use Vaseline, Tiana. Yes, absolutely, that's an option. I just grabbed my block of beeswax and started rubbing it on. So, but yeah, Vaseline is for sure an option. You know, that's a great option when you want to preserve like your hinges from getting paint on them. You can throw some Vaseline along your hinge, and it will keep them from getting painted if you don't want to remove your hinges. Because doors never hang the same when you try to put them back on with their hinges again. Just getting up underneath here. I try to paint every angle that a customer might see. You know, if they're laying on the floor of their room, they don't want to look up at their piece and think, like, oh my gosh, she totally missed a spot. What was my prep? I I started out sanding this piece just in small spots. It had some places where the finish was flaking and, you know, unevenness. So I sanded those out. So I started with a nice, clean, smooth surface. And then I cleaned it really well with Dixie Belle White Lightning. Scrubbed it down with, I spray it in a spray bottle, and then I scrubbed it with steel wool. After I cleaned it with White Lightning, I put a coat of Dixie Belle Boss, which is a stain and odor blocking primer in white. How do you clean the Vaseline off? When you're done painting and your paint is dry, if you come back and wipe it, it will wipe the Vaseline along with all of the paint off of it. It keeps your paint from adhering. So you let it dry, and then you come back and wipe it off. So right now I'm just getting my base coat on, which is Dixie Belle Palmetto, which is a deep green. Yeah, paint is, I know, it's hard because this is going to take a few days to really become itself. And right now it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I'll be the first to admit that. I would never leave a piece not looking good though. My rule is if I wouldn't put it in my own house, I won't send it home with a customer. So there is a lot of trust involved. A lot of trust involved in this process. I have a customer who's trusting that I'm going to recreate this to be what she has in her head. So we've communicated a lot, and I feel like I understand what she's getting at. Here, I'll show you guys my colors in here. These are my Dixie Belle sample spoons, and I like them because it allows me to pull out my colors and see them next to each other and how they coordinate. And you can get an idea for what your color palette is and how it works together. Although I don't think I've ever found any combination here that doesn't work together. So here's where I am. Oh, I forgot my drop cloth. Drop cloth. Oh, that's buttercream. I need to get some new spoons for my my 4 new Dixie Belle colors that are coming out. There we go, drop cloth. So here's where I am. I mean, it's a really rich color palette, but you're going to mostly see the palmetto and with some black wax on it. The palmetto is going to have a base of the black caviar underneath it, so it will darken this color. So it's actually going to be a really, really deep, rich, like green, almost black. Is kind of what we're going for. And I like this just for a pop of color poking through. Yay! So, I mean, that's kind of where I am. It's a different color palette, but I think it's going to be really pretty. Drop cloth is probably my favorite of the whites. I think I use drop cloth more than anything. It's not a pure white. It's just a really creamy, you know, just a shade off of white that I really love. So I'm sitting on this side of my piece. I was sitting on that side before, and I can see little spots that I didn't get. So, you know, when you're moving around your piece, you know, always be looking into, you know, look down, look up, look all different ways for. Again, normally I would have my drawers taken out of my piece. I know, you can't imagine it. It's really hard. In my head, it works. In my head, it works. I wish I had a final part to show you. I was just going to do the second layer of color on camera, but since I'm back on, I thought I'll just show you guys what I'm going for. You know, and along the way, I may put the orange in and say, oh, this doesn't work at all. This doesn't work. And then I'll just change it. Sometimes I start out with a plan and it changes along the way. You just have to make a judgment call based on what you encounter at every step. And that's what customers are relying on us for, to know the products and know how to fix something. That's why you guys are the experts. Going to bed. Oh, it's late where you guys are. I always forget. I'm in California, so it's early here. I still have a meeting with a realtor tonight. My day is nowhere near done. So I'm working on the side. I'm just laying on. This is just a straight coat of the palmetto. Again, it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be because I want these colors to show through. So it's okay that my coat isn't super smooth and even, and you know, I just want reasonably good coverage. Stephanie Kuhn did from Rehab to Fab did a live on here with a similar look where she put 3 colors onto her piece and then layered them back with distressing. And each one peeks through. This is just a little more bold color combination, but same basic technique. That's how I think of painting. I think of it as like a cafeteria plan. Like there's only so many things you do, and you just choose from each piece. You know, this one I want paint and glaze and distressing. Next one I'm going to want some paint and a whitewash and a clear coat. You know, whatever it is, you've just got this cafeteria plan, and you just choose. You know, one of these I'll have a salad and some soda and a chicken. You know, tomorrow I'm going to make a sandwich. Whatever it is. I use the mister when I want a thinner layer of water, not such a heavy concentrated coat. It also isn't as likely to have water spots. Yes, so Amy, my base is drop cloth, Dixonville drop cloth. Then I'm doing palmetto over that. Then I'm doing mermaid tail over that. Then caviar, and then more palmetto. It's crazy. It's crazy, I know. It's a lot. It's going to get there, though. When you see the final look, you're going to be like, oh, I get it. She hasn't lost her mind. I'm going to pull these drawers out. I don't want to paint them shut. I'll take this one out. They're fairly dry now. I'm going to paint my drawer boxes. I just do where you can see around the edge. You want to make sure that you get everything that's visible. I'm going to do something fun on the drawer sides. This has great detail. So let's see. Let's see if I give you an example. If I get this t-shirt wet, I'm just going to try something on camera. What am I going to do with the orange? I'm going to probably just streak it in so it shows through in a couple spots. Okay, yes. So picture this, but with, I only have 2 colors on here. Picture this, but with, 4 colors or more. So I just sprayed some water onto a t-shirt. This is not what I'll use. On my final one, I'll probably use like an SOS pad because I really want to take these colors back. See how the white is coming back? This is just 2 colors here. Because it has that beeswax on it, I barely have to scrub it, and it totally brings back the white. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to preserve that layer of white underneath the green. So you can see how that's going to help me show off these details. So imagine I've got some really pretty colors layered in here when I do this. So that's kind of what we're going for. But you'll see all the layers of colors versus just the 2 that I have on here right now. So this is just a wet distressing. I put beeswax on so that my white isn't coming off. Otherwise, the white would be prone to coming off and exposing the wood. Would I paint under the middle or center? So this is all going to stay paint. I'll probably have some distressed areas around the edges, but this is going to stay pretty true. Does painting your drawer boxes make them stick? It can. Your drawer boxes can stick if you paint them. I always look for how tight is my drawer frame before I paint my drawer boxes. If it's going to interfere, I will either sand my drawer boxes down in any spots that might stick, because you don't want sticky drawers. I don't want to cause drawers to stick. So I usually will sand my drawer boxes down if I need to. I mean, you can see where I'm going though with the rich color and some of that white. And I'll probably do some around here too, just to frame out the hardware. So anyway, that's where I'm going. So you guys go follow my page at Brush by Brandy, and I will share photos of this when it's done. And it will all make sense, I promise. So my plan, we've got a base of Dixie Boston White, then drop cloth, then palmetto, then Mermaid Tail. I'm going to come back with caviar, palmetto, and a little bit of Florida orange. Oh, that's a good idea. Yes. Spray your boxes, your drawer boxes with Dixie Belle wax. Yeah, I do. I usually will wax the glide, and then I will wax the underside of my drawer in here. So the wax is gliding on each other instead of the wood gliding on each other. And then I think I'm going to put like a fun stamp on the drawer side, something really pretty. And I'm going to line these drawers too with a pretty paper that I've got. My page is Brushed by Brandy. Brushed like a paintbrush. And me, I'm Brandy. It would be a hot mess. It's okay if it's a hot mess. Mine is a hot mess right now too. They always start out as a hot mess. It doesn't come together until the very end. Yeah, maybe I'll come on and wet distress it. Yeah, maybe I will have to do that. So thank you guys for watching. I have a plan. If it doesn't look good, I'll just go back and paint over it. It's not a big deal. All right, guys, I have a realtor coming, so I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow my page so when I post pictures of this in the next few days, you guys will see what it looks like, whether it looks good. Thank you, Brooke. You guys have a good night.